KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. I'm Kevin Kietzman in for the next hour leading you up to the Vince Show. We got a fine broadcast lined up for you today to get us started on the new work week. As you are settling in, we're going to talk a little bit later about a couple of basketball coaches in the NBA that have taken different courses of action in their criticism against ICE and what's happened in Minneapolis and what's happening elsewhere. This is very interesting as one coach has apologized and basically asked for a mea culpa, and the other is doubling down with verbiage that you can't believe. It's amazing what these folks will say about what's going on. No question about that. Donald Trump is suing or claims he's going to sue Trevor Noah after some comments made at the Grammys last night. We're not going to get too into the Grammys or anything, but I'm just not sure this is one of the things Trump should be involved in. We'll see. We'll give you the details. It had to do with the joke about Greenland, where there's a reference to hanging out on an island with Bill Clinton, and, of course, President Trump didn't like that very much. But we start today with Mayor Q. There was so much buildup. He was posting and letting everybody know that he was going to be on CBS's Face the Nation on Sunday morning. This was a big deal, and it came in a very big week in Kansas City, where we had learned that this Mayor Q, had $500 million for a baseball team. He was stopping an ICE facility from being built in his city against the federal government. He had a police department that says they're taking drastic measures because they're broke. And we learned that Kansas City is number one in America per capita for homeless people. I mean, it was a busy week in Kansas City, Missouri. In addition to that, Mayor Q was named the mayor of mayors, president of the National Mayors Association or Democrat Mayors Association or whatever the heck that it is. And so he got the invite to Face the Nation. They, I believe, recorded this on Saturday. It definitely was not live on Sunday morning. And I'll be darned if he didn't pretty much just get edited out. They let some dude from Arizona with a cowboy hat on talk way too long. And the other people, I'm like, I want to hear Mayor Q. And I want to hear her ask him about the homeless problem in Kansas City, the police department being broke, the $500 million you're handing to a baseball team, the closing down or shutting down of an ICE facility that you don't want to have built. And that's really all they did. They were talking about jails. And they considered this ICE facility in Kansas City to be a jail that was going to be constructed. So he gave a pretty standard issue comment that you would get. And then he said something that really stood out to me. And I don't think many people caught on to this. I don't think America was watching going, oh, I can't believe he said that. But it really stuck to me because what it is that they're doing, and I look at it this way, what the left is doing right now is anywhere they possibly can, they're going against the will of the American people, the voters. The voters voted Trump in by popular vote. He won every swing state. America has spoken. They spoke very strong, and immigration was his number one issue. You can't convince me otherwise. Immigration was it. America said, yes, please. We want to clean this up. We've watched crime plummet in the last 13 months since Trump became president. It's crazy what's happened with the crime stats and how well we're doing in this country because 3 million people have left on their own, and ICE is rounding up the worst of the worst into the hundreds of thousands. This is all progress, if you ask me. But we don't sit here on the right and say, well, it's the will of the people and it's got to be there. No, it's just the law. It's what the law is. And the law is on the side of Trump, immigration, ICE. You can clearly close the border. ICE can clearly detain these criminals and deport them after processing. There's nothing illegal going. Nobody's claiming this is all illegal. They're screaming on the left that it's morally wrong. They're separating families. They're kidnapping children. They're murdering American citizens in the street. It's not exactly it. But Mayor Q went on to say that the reason he is stopping this ICE facility in Kansas City, and he told the whole nation, is that's not what the people of Kansas City, Missouri voted for. It's a Democrat city, and they don't want this. That he's simply executing the will of the people by keeping the ICE facility out. He said something to the effect of, it's not what the voters are. It's not what the voters wanted. It's not what Kansas Cityans, it's not who we are to have an ICE facility. Well, that may be accurate. You won in a landslide. You're a Democrat city. Nobody's arguing that point. But what you're doing is, if it's not unlawful, okay, it's incredibly wrong. You're taking action against a local company, by the way, whose headquarters are at 15th and Baltimore, downtown Kansas City, Missouri, a Kansas City, Missouri, Jackson County company, you're declaring war against a company that manages $4 billion worth of properties. This is the war the Democrats want? You might as well just put a sign up that says, businesses go to hell. We don't want you in Kansas City, Missouri. Unless you're a hardened Democrat, we are not interested in you doing business in our town. We don't like you. We don't respect you. We don't want you. If you're willing to do business with the majority of the American people and your federal government, you're out. You got to go. We don't want you if you're in the majority in this country. We are unopposed to anyone who votes and believes and does business with the majority in this country. Kansas City's closed for business to you. We're done. So they're trying to financially harm this company that is headquartered for no other reason than I believe they're good stewards of the entire metro area, and they probably think it's the right thing to do to be downtown, to be a Kansas City, Missouri business, to be in Jackson County, that's the right way to do this because so many businesses traditionally have done that. Hey, we want to work everywhere in the metro. Where do we locate? Kansas City, Missouri, downtown. A lot of businesses look that way. I don't even know that these guys are Republicans. I'm going to assume they are. But mostly they're in real estate. They don't care who the buyer is. Do you think they've questioned the buyer of anything else that they've built and sold? It's against the law. We literally have laws on the books that you can't ask certain questions of people. You can't ask them, or you certainly can't base a sale on ethnicity or gender or religion or any of these other things. You can't do that. You can't discriminate based on that, right? We know all these things. So how can you discriminate against the federal government, for God's sake? And Mayor Q's on national TV saying, well, we're just doing, the will of the people in Kansas City, Missouri. Well, yeah, ICE is just doing the will of the people in the United States of America, Q. And that Trump card drops right on top of your card. And anybody with a brain would see it that way and say it's not Kansas City, Missouri, or Jackson County business to be meddling in this ICE facility. Let these brothers do it. Let them have their company. Let them do what they want. It's Ryan and Terry Anderson. It's called Platform Ventures. I spent some time on their website earlier today. I think if you went and looked at it, you go, well, this is a nice company in Kansas City. This is the kind of company we like to have here. They're rooted in our community. They do it all. They build warehouse facilities like that. They build apartment complexes. They do retail. They do corporate buildings. They're involved in all kinds of real estate. They're basically venture capitalists. They raise the money for projects. They get them built, and then they sell them and make a profit. That's America. We learned this playing Monopoly when we were 7. And it's like Mayor Q and Manny Abarca want to end the Monopoly game. Oh, no, that's not any good. We're not giving you $200 to pass go. We don't want you building the railroad there. No. We can't have development in Kansas City. We got to stop that. So that's your bar now in Kansas City, Missouri and Jackson County. Well, if we even remotely think you're conservative, we don't want your business. These two guys, Ryan and Terry Anderson, if they stop them from selling this because they want people in coffee shops to go get in their face and stare at them and confront them in public, they post their pictures and stories and say, confront these animals. These people want to support ICE and make money. They have a private business in real estate and they built something and they want to sell it for a profit. Stare them down. Confront them. Well, no, you can sit there and say, we want you to look at them funny. Eventually, somebody's going to take a push, take a shove, do whatever. They're throwing harm toward these guys. Now, you know your humble host. If this was my business, I'd be doubling down. I'd be asking ICE if they want another building. Let's just go and let's get in the courts and let's go fight these people. It's my company. I'm going to do what I want. And I want this to be an ICE facility. You know why they're mad. They're mad because these guys got money from Port KC and other government entities. There's federal money that they got in investment, and I'm pretty sure we're going to find out there's plenty of Jackson County and Kansas City, Missouri incentives that Mayor Q was on board with and Manny Abarca was on board with until we found out, oh, God, no. They want to build an ICE facility and enforce the laws of our country. Why on earth would we let them enforce the laws of our country? in Kansas City, Missouri. We don't want law enforcement here. We're in a drastic situation with the Kansas City Police Department. That's the word this weekend by the chief. It's drastic. Drastic measures. No more overtime. They're shortening and changing shifts. They're broke. And they kind of like it that way, let's be honest. They really don't care. I've asked it aloud. It's not a very nice or pleasant thing to say, but I'm a free speech guy. Why on earth would you be a police officer in Kansas City, Missouri? You got a million options. Blue Springs looks pretty nice. How about Parkville? Leawood. That sounds like a pretty good gig. Leawood police officer? Count me in. Why? It's unbelievable the way they've beaten you down through the years. And now there's drastic measures and you can't get any more overtime. You can make more money elsewhere. There's incentives. Isn't Florida offering like 20 grand to move there and become a police officer? Naples is nice this time of year. That would be a really good gig. I used to be a Kansas City, Missouri police officer, but now I'm down here in Naples. I got my bicycle strolling down the beach, making sure everything's okay with all the vacationers here. Every now and then there's a drunk dude at the Ritz-Carlton, but, we'll figure that out. I don't get it. God bless you, Kansas City, Missouri police officers. God bless every one of you. I don't know how you could possibly feel supported, even when they say it. I don't know how you can watch all these people in power try to shut down an ICE facility, which is law enforcement. And if you're really rooted in doing this for a living, maybe leave the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department and join ICE. They're paying big bonuses and huge 401ks and all kinds of good stuff if you want to join them. That's what we're going to do. We're going to fracture this country that way. Perfect. Because Mayor Q's on national TV saying, our voters don't really like that in Kansas City, Missouri. Yeah, well, America voted to close the border and enforce the laws. And the Democrats put the laws on the books. The Trump administration is missing this on a daily basis. They need to refer every time there is an action to the Democrat voted on laws. We're enforcing Democrat voted in laws. Just Democrat. It's their laws. We're enforcing Democrat laws over and over and over. Just pound it as much as you can. 913-408-7957 is our number. If you'd like to join the conversation, I'd love to chat with you next on Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio.
From Smithville to Shawnee Mission, it's Kevin Kietzman, Uncanceled, on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Hope your week is off to a great start. Whatever your endeavors are this week, let's make it a great one all the way around. And we will start this segment by heading to the phones where some folks have some things to say, which I love. This is Paul in Overland Park. Good morning, Paul. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Kevin. How are you, man?
Fine, thank you.
Hey, cool. You know, when I hear folks like Manny A and Q do their thing and pontificate, saying they're doing the will of the people, I go, these guys are idiots, because don't they realize that, number one, Trump will come down on them, and two, you have a no BS kind of governor in Kehoe who will figure out how to muscle up. And then honestly, these platform guys, I do agree. They need to go out and really just make themselves bully, because this is just ridiculous that, hey, they think, they're above the fray regarding this ICE detention. And these guys are just doing their business. I mean, let's call your friend Stan and go, hey, what would Stan do, right? Because he's a property guy. He'd probably try to make the deal happen and work the politics side.
Yeah, and you don't judge if you're a conservative and somebody, if George Soros wants to come buy a building from me, I'll sell it to him. I got no problem with that. You're in business to buy and sell real estate. That's what it is. Yep,
for sure. I just think it's just that type of thing. We just gotta fight back in a very aggressive way, and I think that's why you see them reacting and on the national scene, because we're fighting, man.
I think it's a great call. I appreciate it, man. I think it's a shared Trump derangement syndrome. There's nothing to be gained by Mayor Q or Manny Abarca. They're going to win their elections either way. It's not about the votes. They're saying, hey, listen, we know we've got this city and this county locked up. It's as blue as it can possibly be. So they're not trying to win elections by doing this. It really just has to be some sort of a thing inside the cult of politicians in America on the left, that they all just want to one-up each other and show each other that they're fighting Trump harder than the other guy. That's all this can be, is just virtue signaling. Hey, I'm a better Democrat than you. I'm fighting Trump harder than you're fighting him. That's all this is, just a peeing contest? Here's John in Overland Park. Hi, John. What's up?
Pretty good. I've got a comment to make about the police department running out of money that they said this morning. If the police department runs out of money and they've got this soccer thing coming to town, the deal is the first people they're going to turn to is the government. And I hope the government doesn't give them any money.
You talking about federal government or local government?
No, I'm talking about federal.
Yeah, Trump's all in. Whatever is needed in any city, he said he'll secure. If the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department can't handle it, he'll send in federal agents to make sure this is all okay.
I don't mind the federal agents. I just don't want them giving them a bunch of money.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to give Kansas City Police Department any money. I think if he does anything, he'll send agents in.
That's all right, but the rest of it, it takes a lot of nerve anyway, what they're doing.
Yeah, and these aren't things that I try to be as responsible a broadcaster as I can while still saying what's on my mind. But let's just be honest about the World Cup and what it is. It's a target. Uh-huh. It is a target. Globally, it is a target. We have countries out there warning, you shouldn't go to the United States. They're bad people. It's too dangerous there. It's this problem. It's that problem. There's a lot of people in the world that would love nothing more than to do something crazy around the World Cup in the United States. So it definitely is a target. And I'll just leave it at that, because my own thoughts don't really matter. You may have the same thoughts. We should probably all just keep them to ourselves.
There you go. Thank you, sir.
All right, buddy. Take care. It's true. And I used to do stories. We'd go to Radio Row every year for the Super Bowl. So this week, all the sports stations in America are just lined up on Radio Row in San Francisco, where all the teams are, and the commissioner gives his state of the league and all these other things. And I remember starting it would have been shortly after 9/11. There was a time after 9/11 where nobody talked about things like this. Because we were all on the same page. And then it got weird. It's like, okay, why are there helicopters flying around all over the place? Why are there federal agents, which we hadn't seen before? And eventually the NFL had to say, listen, we're not taking any chances. This is, of all the events in the United States of America, the Super Bowl is number one. And everybody around the world knows that. It has been a target for decades now. And the NFL knows and the feds know, and they don't do as many stories. They don't talk about it. You're not hearing Trump talking about security for the Super Bowl. It's not spoken. But, man, you want to talk about Fed presence in Minneapolis or whatever, You have no idea how safe and secure and how much federal workforce is used around the Super Bowl. And I'm not just talking about security, sweeping the building, all those things. Year-round, it is a year-round project in every one of these cities to make sure that that event that day is safe. There are fighter jets in the sky. There are helicopters. There are drones. There is everything around this thing. And you don't see it when you're sitting at home enjoying the game and enjoying the Super Bowl, but it will be the same play here in Kansas City on a smaller scale for the World Cup. We'll have the same support of our military, our intelligence, all of the operatives that so many people on the left hate. Oh, we hate that the government has this. We hate that. Yeah, you hate it until the World Cup comes. There won't be any people bad-mouthing federal agents around here when the World Cup is here. They're going to be glad there's a presence. Supposedly, we're going to have hundreds of thousands of more people in our city. Well, we don't have the local police to handle that, that's for sure. We're going to need help, even for just the disorderly, the people that get drunk and do something stupid, even just that stuff. But certainly, because these big events, we know, our intelligence operations know, they are targets. They're targets for the worst people in the world. 913-4087-957. If you'd like to join us, jump right in. We've got a guy that has apologized for lying about ICE. Next.
From Lawrence to Leavenworth, it's Kevin Kietzman, Uncanceled, on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
So we've got an active story going on about Savannah Guthrie, who's the host of the Today Show. Her mother, Nancy, has disappeared in Pima County, Arizona, on the north part of Tucson, which is not all that far from the Mexican border. That county alone has over 100 miles of border with Mexico. And she disappeared. She was found not to be at home on Sunday morning when she didn't go to church. She has some physical ailments, but not any cognitive problems. She's 84 years old, and they expected her at church on Sunday morning. She wasn't there. Then a family member went by and said she's not here. They called the authorities. The sheriffs came. The sheriffs dispatched homicide detectives to this scene, and they have described the scene as, well, this thing is, they will not describe the scene completely. Foul play is certainly not ruled out. They said this scene of this house, quote, stood out, and they're of grave concern for her. And they're concluding right now, it looks like a news conference in Pima County. We're going to take it live for a moment or two, but I think he's just finishing up right here where they're answering questions. They have not found this lady yet. And this is a really, 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 really different kind of story. And it caught my attention earlier today. I'm like, any of this makes sense. You send homicide detectives to a scene where there is no person. This is a woman that lived alone. She's been widowed for many years. It's Savannah Guthrie's mom, so a famous person's mom. They don't know where she is. No cognitive decline, so there's no thought that she just wandered off not knowing what she was doing. That was not an issue. And they haven't said anything about any cameras or anything they've seen at this point. They're just asking for help at this point to try to locate her. This absolutely sounds horrific. And you just cannot, you don't want to jump to conclusions here, but when they're saying we're of grave concern, the scene inside the home, quote, this one stood out, unquote. What happened in there? They're not describing what it looked like inside the house, but they called homicide detectives. So I'll not speculate, but I'll let you think about that. What would lead the sheriff's department to call homicide detectives at a place where there's no person? I cannot even imagine. Oh boy. This isn't Gene Hackman. Remember a year ago, Gene Hackman was found dead at his home, and his wife, and he had either Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever it was. And I guess his wife died, and then he couldn't care for himself, and he died maybe 2 weeks later. And they found them both many days after that and said, oh, well, she died before him, and then he couldn't take care of himself because he had dementia and those things. That's not what this is with Nancy Guthrie, who is the mom of Savannah Guthrie from the Today Show. Just a terrible sounding, just an awful sounding story. Okay, I want to move on to these basketball coaches because this never happens, folks. It doesn't happen with politicians. It doesn't happen with voters or activists or the people out in the streets. They'll say whatever thing they want. ICE is kidnapping 5-year-olds. They're doing all these things. Steve Kerr is the head coach of the Golden State Warriors. They are the number one franchise in the NBA. They're worth more than any other franchise. He's won multiple titles, and he was a great player. He loves to spend his time as a basketball coach at his news conferences bagging on Donald Trump and has been doing it for a decade. He does it in San Francisco, where I will still argue that in the building on any given night, at least half the people in there are conservative. At least half. And he doesn't care. And I guess if you're rooting for a ball to go through a hoop, you don't really care what your coach says if he's against you. I don't know if he's hurt the team or not, but something's going on with Warriors management because Steve Kerr has gone full-blown, I am so sorry, I apologize. A reporter from Outkick was dispatched to ask him questions about the statements he made about ICE murdering people and taking into custody American citizens and kidnapping a 5-year-old. And Kerr, a couple days ago, told the reporter, quote, "You're right, I definitely misspoke. I knew that ICE was arresting criminals, and I immediately regretted it because I know that to be the case. My point is they're also arresting people and detaining citizens." I don't know what that sentence means. Detaining citizens, did you not want them to detain the 5-year-old? Do you want them to leave him in the yard in the cold? They knocked on the door for the rest of the family to answer and let the boy in. But the rest of the family, if they were in there, didn't answer because they've been told by Steve Kerr, ICE will kill you. They'll murder you. They'll abduct you. Don't answer the door if ICE knocks. Make them have a warrant and knock the door down. That's what the Democrats are doing. So everybody's afraid. But they're not really afraid of ICE, are they? Because if the family was in that house and they just said, oh, they'll take good care of the 5-year-old, they were right. They took the 5-year-old to McDonald's. They got him some hot chocolate. They fed him. He's in fine shape. He's reunited now with his dad. A court has ruled, give him back to the dad. We don't know if they're going to get deported or not, but the liberal judges in Minneapolis have taken care of it, and the boy is back with his dad. It's all good. There really is no reason to be afraid of ICE unless you're driving a car at them or you're fighting them while packing heat. Both those are very dumb things to do. But the people really aren't afraid of ICE, or they wouldn't be spitting on them. They wouldn't be throwing rocks at them. They wouldn't be doing any of this stuff if they were really afraid of ICE. They're not. But Steve Kerr speaks out and says all that stuff. And then he was asked a follow-up question. He goes, it's been a pretty emotional time. We spent 4 days in Minneapolis. Yeah, you spent 4 days in Minneapolis. Let me tell you how this went for Steve Kerr. He lands at the Minneapolis airport. Then he gets a police escort to a 5-star hotel where police escort them in the building and up the elevator to their rooms, where police all night long, at least 2 in every team that ever was, they have a whole floor to their own, and there will be at least 1 police officer at each end of the hallway guarding the steps in the elevators, the exits. They turn the elevator off. You can't get on that level unless you have a certain key. So he sleeps at night with police up all night outside his hotel door. Then he gets up in the morning. They get another police escort to go downstairs, to get on their bus and go to the arena, where at the arena, they're walked in by the police. Then they have a shoot-around where at the shoot-around, there are police right there on the court. Then they go back, do whatever it is that they do. They come back for the game that night. They get more police escorts. Then he has police on the bench. Then he has police in his locker room. Then he has police outside his locker room. And when he leaves at halftime to go in the locker room, the police walk him in. This is a guy who every single day is guarded by police with guns. And he's calling ICE murderers and doesn't pay attention to the law. He blames it on a pretty emotional time. He finished by saying, I misspoke, so I apologize for the misinformation. That was false, what I said. I'll give him credit. I'm going to guess the ownership of his team said, you better clean this up and stop calling ICE murderers. It's one thing to hate Donald Trump. Don't call these people that are out there putting their life on the line against real criminals murderers. Don't do it. And don't say they're kidnapping 5-year-olds. Doc Rivers is the coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. He's backing off nothing. They asked him. Outkick was sent to cover a Bucks game, and they said, do you want to take back any of these statements about kidnapping 5-year-olds and ICE murdering American citizens? And he said no. And then he went on to say, Hakeem Olajuwon, who was one of the all-time great players in NBA history for Houston way back in the day, he goes, if this had been happening when Hakeem Olajuwon was playing, they would have kidnapped him at a game. What? Do you know how many foreign players there are in the NBA? Every team's got at least 2, maybe more. It's the best pipeline of talent the NBA has going. And guess what? Do you know how many foreign players the Royals have? The Royals have fewer than most teams, but it's not by design or anything like that. They just do. And before Salvador Perez was an American citizen, he was a Venezuelan citizen. That the Royals took care of all the paperwork, all the visas, everything he needed to be completely legal every moment of every day during the season when he was in the United States of America. They never let it expire. They do all the proper things. The Royals have lawyers. They make sure of all of this. It's the same in the NBA. And you've got Doc Rivers out there saying publicly that he's worried that ICE is going to come to one of his games and kidnap one of his foreign-born players. I don't know why he picked out Hakeem Olajuwon and said that would have happened to Olajuwon. I'm going to guess the Milwaukee Bucks have foreign-born players on their team. I haven't looked at their roster, but I'm guessing he's got them. If they were going to do it to Hakeem Olajuwon, why wouldn't they do it to your player now? Especially if you're the one criticizing it. If Trump's as bad as you say, why isn't he kidnapping your players and deporting them? Well, he's not, because your players are here legally. They're contributing. They're paying taxes. In many ways, they're assimilating into society. Salvador Perez became a citizen. He had no interest in just being a guy that came here, picked up a paycheck, and lived in Venezuela his whole life. There are players like that. He learned English. He loves Kansas City. Salvi's moved his family here. These are great things. We love immigration. The left portrays this stuff all wrong. Doc Rivers is saying that Trump is going to send ICE to NBA games and kidnap foreign-born players. This is absurd, and he won't back off of it. And nobody challenges him on these statements.
Giannis is Greek, isn't he?
Of course he's Greek. He may be a citizen by now, right?
Yeah, that's true.
He's been around a while. I don't get it. And there's no culpability for any of it. And I've got no trouble with basketball coaches saying what's on their mind. Everybody's got the right to say what they want. I just think there needs to be more accountability for idiots that say things so crazy and wrong. It leads the people that are going to pack a gun with 3 magazines of ammunition on their waist to go physically fight ICE to do crazy things. To take someone like Renee Good, they said, well, she was a nice enough person. And right. So it was probably the wife that did it, talked her into doing what she did. Did she panic and hit the gas? Probably. Did she go there thinking I'm going to run over an ICE agent? No. I don't know what somebody's thinking when they're packing a gun to go fight with ICE. That's a whole different one for me. I know what it's like to drive a car. And if I were in that situation and panicked, I may have tried to pull away. I don't know. Probably not. If you're going there and you're confronting them, you just absolutely, if you have half a brain, you have to be prepared to be detained and arrested. You have to. Even if you're released several hours later, you have to believe that when you go in. They didn't kidnap a 5-year-old boy. And it's not murder when somebody with a gun is fighting you. It's ridiculous. We have laws, and they're there for a reason. And the laws say ICE can do everything that it's been doing. And everyone knows that. And the NBA is in no danger of having players kidnapped, which is just an absurd way to say it. Ridiculous. All right, let's see what John in North Kansas City has to say about it. Good morning, John. You're on Uncanceled.
Hey, how you doing, Kevin?
Great, buddy.
Great. Hey, I want to confirm what you were talking about with these guys. They have no idea what the regular life is like.
Right.
Because I worked as a police officer and did security detail for the Raiders who were coming into town. And they hired Kansas City police officers to secure their hotel rooms, their hotel floors, and I worked with one other officer there on that floor, making sure nobody else came up there unless they were one of the players or
right.
The player escorted somebody up there.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's insane that they think that anything like this would happen.
I know, and I'm not even sure they believe it, John. Their thing is, it's about winning elections. They say this stuff because they're trying to hurt Trump, and they really don't care that Renee Good is dead or Alex Preddy is dead or that there's chaos in the streets. If it can help the Democrats win the next election, they're all in on saying this crap.
Yeah, I mean, the security, just like a basic Chiefs game, is so high, and federal agents and federal people are there for that one. I mean, Homeland Security and all that stuff. They've got drones flying over everywhere, all that kind of stuff. That's just for a basic game. And there's a playoff game, and every time going forward, it ramps up.
There is a jail at Arrowhead.
Yes.
People don't know it, but it's there, and it's there for a reason.
Right, it is right there.
I know.
And they go from there down to downtown.
Exactly.
I mean, they literally is by the control room. There's a control room with federal agents, all the KCPD brass,
yes, sir.
Kansas City Fire Department brass. They're all in there watching this game, making sure they have cameras scanning the crowd constantly for
100%.
problems.
100% right. Great call, John. If Steve Kerr and Doc Rivers actually believed what they're saying, and it wasn't just designed to get Trump out or for Democrats to win elections, if they actually believed it, they would be afraid to have their players around police with guns. That's what they're saying, is we can't trust these people, and yet they're surrounded by police with guns all day long, everywhere they go. Uncanceled continues on KCMO Talk Radio. 7th caller right now. How about some concert tickets? Jelly Roll's coming with Post Malone. You want to see this at Kauffman Stadium this summer? Seventh caller right now is in on KCMO.
Vince Colonnese here, and I'm coming up at 11 after Kevin Kietzman on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Let's say hello to Mark Van Sickle. He's got all his KU gear on tonight. A big game in Lubbock, Texas Tech tonight. Is this correct?
Oh, yeah.
Time they go, 8 o'clock something?
I think it's 8 o'clock for Big Monday.
8 o'clock. Darren Peterson not on the injured list. It looks like he's going to be playing tonight.
Play the first half.
What do you make of what happened Saturday? He played 3 minutes in the second half after KU got a 20-point lead. His agent sitting behind the bench, was videoed by several people on Twitter that were sitting right there, walked up to an associate athletic director for KU on the bench and said something. The associate athletic director went to the trainer and said something. And then the agent left the building, never came back again, and Darren Peterson only played 3 minutes in the second half.
See, this, I watched the whole first half, and then I listened to most of the second half, so I kind of missed that whole thing. That's very suspicious.
Yeah, it wasn't on the TV broadcast.
Oh, okay.
This was
just
people
social
on Twitter
media.
with their own phones. They're like, this guy's name is, his last name is Matsubara or something.
Yeah.
Matsubara. They call him Mats. Well, all the KU fans know who he is, and he sits right behind the bench because he's the Stars agent. So he gets to sit right there.
He's also the former agent of Joel Embiid, who he told to sit out of the tournament after he hurt his back.
There you go.
So we've got that going.
Okay.
So there is some of that in the past.
I just, look, I don't think he cramped. I think they were up 20. You can call it load management if you want, but I will also say this about Saturday's game. It was the perfect storm for winning a whole bunch of bets by doing what they did. Okay? Most of the college betting is basketball players taking the under of their points scored. That's not what I think this, if this were anything, that's not what this was. This was Matt's saying, great, we got the KU minus 3.5 covered. We're up 20 at the half. If Peterson comes out, how much do we want to bet on BYU in the second half? BYU won the second half by 12. It wasn't close. And he knew Peterson wasn't going to play. Now, I'm not saying an agent is dumb enough to go have some posse of people putting bets in, but they could have done it and made an absolute pile because thousands and thousands of people across the country would have bet the second half of that game because the game was so high profile.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I was watching it going, what? I mean, what a perfect storm to have bet KU and then BYU at the half.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
I don't know. See, I still think he could be getting cramps, but I see your guys' point too. So,
How many years have you followed sports?
40 years.
All right. Have you ever seen anybody with cramps like this? In any sport, ever?
Not this often.
Never. This is unprecedented.
Yeah.
Nobody has this.
That's true.
I mean, unless he's got a medical condition.
Yeah.
And if he's got a medical condition, he shouldn't be playing.
I agree.
Right? Very strange. There is the most fun wager this week. I know we've been talking about a lot about FanDuel. I'm not sure this one's on FanDuel, but I'll look and see. Will Chris Collinsworth say the name Mahomes during the broadcast?
I like that one. I think he probably will.
55% chance he will.
Yeah.
So that's the favorite, is that he will at some point say Mahomes. And Mark Turgeon's the new coach at Kansas City, which is formerly UMKC.
I like it.
That is a great hire for Kansas City. They're going to sell tickets and get better. Good for them. Vince Show's coming up next.